is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to continue to share the teachings of a founding father of the science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach, Bachelor of Science in Plant and Soil Sciences, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, 4 postdoctorates in pathology, naturopathic doctor. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to continue to share the teachings of a founding father of the science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach, Bachelor of Science in Plant and Soil Sciences, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, 4 postdoctorates in pathology, naturopathic doctor. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experience.
Hello and welcome everyone to Daily with Doc and Becca. Let's go ahead and open up those Zoom room doors and let everyone in because we are a live show. And I am Ruth Ellen Sanchez. I'm going to be your host today, and we have Pharmacist Ben Fuchs with a very timely topic. It is heat, hydration, and the mineral conversation. I don't know where you are, but it's 111. It feels like 111 where I am. So it is hot, hot, hot. This show is sponsored by dailywithdoc.com, and this show is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to treat, diagnose, or cure or prevent any diseases. I know, Ben. I have to say it. Nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared by experiences of the individual. Results may vary and may not be typical. We do not make claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options. So we started a little late. We had some technical difficulties. I am sorry about that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Ben on right away. And Ben, I'm going to add you to the screen. Hello, how are you today?
I'm good. Good to see you. Did you say it's 111 or feels like 111?
Feels like 111 here.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It's 100 degrees.
Is it 100 degrees there?
Yeah, and it's humid.
Oh my God. I'm glad I'm not there. It gets hot here, but it doesn't get as humid. So I guess you picked a timely topic though, huh?
Yes, because the whole Northeast is blazing hot.
Well, it's interesting because dehydration is not necessarily associated with heat. Although, obviously, if you're sweating a lot, you're going to be dehydrated, or you could be dehydrated. But dehydration affects almost everybody because we don't drink enough water. And not only that, but, and we'll talk about this a little bit, the water in the body is not ordinary water, as we've talked about before. It's structured, it's organized, and that's the kind of water that hydrates.
Mm-hmm.
So you do need to be drinking water for sure, but it's much more than water. So why don't you go over? You have these different segments, which is very cute, I have to say. Why don't you go over the segments? I hadn't seen those before. Was that your idea, Dawn? Segment 1, segment 2, segment 3.
That was your idea.
That was my idea.
Yes, it was.
I said segments. Okay, well let's segmentize and then let's answer questions.
Okay, so the first segment is hidden signs of dehydration.
Yes, that's really important because you're dehydrated before you're thirsty. In other words, your body. There's actually a cool book called "Your Body's Many Cries for Water." Have you ever seen this? It's a classic book on dehydration by this Iranian doctor Batmanjali, I think is how he pronounces his name. He wrote it back in the late 80s or 90s, and it's now in its 6th or 7th edition, or maybe more. And that's the first book I read. This idea that dehydration affects more than just thirst. For example, afternoon fatigue can be caused by dehydration and can be relieved by drinking water. So if you're tired in the middle of the day, drinking water can make a big difference. When you drink water, you dilute your blood, and that means you get more blood circulating to all your organs and especially to your brain. And this is a really good strategy for first thing in the morning. And some people find that they may not even need their coffee or need as much coffee if they drink 32 ounces of cold water first thing in the morning. Cold water. Some people will say, drink warm water. I don't know if you ever heard that. You want your water to be warm, body temperature. And that's true if you're just drinking water. But if you want to wake up, you want the water to be cold. If you want to energize yourself, I should say, you want the water to be cold. Warm water isn't going to have the same stimulating effect that cold water does. So brain fog, fatigue, poor concentration, anxiety, irritability, central nervous system effects can be caused by dehydration. Obviously, dry lips, dry mouth. Headaches, also interestingly, constipation can be caused by dehydration or by not enough water. Cramping due to the imbalances between water and electrolytes. Reduced exercise tolerance. If you're exercising, you're sweating, you may not be able to work out as much or exercise as much. If you notice that your urine is dark yellow, the chances are good that you're dehydrated. Not B vitamin yellow. B vitamin yellow is a little different. Like sometimes people will do the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. They'll say, "Oh, my urine's yellow." That's the B vitamins. Particularly, specifically, it's vitamin B2. But dark yellow urine, concentrated urine, can be a sign of dehydration. Itchiness, skin issues. The skin is a major repository for water. Wound healing. Increased sugar cravings. Water can help reduce sugar cravings. And then vertigo or dizziness while standing due to poor circulation. Again, because water it dilutes your blood. Your body's mostly made up of water, as most people know. The brain is like 2/3 water. Muscles are 2/3 water. The skin is about 60 to 70% water. Your blood is almost all water, 92% or something like that, water. And every single cell in the body is a little sack of water. It's actually not a little sack of water. It's a little sack of gel, not water. And that's very important. Most of the water in the body is in a gel form. That gel form of water is a completely different type of water. The gel form of water is created by the interaction of collagen, various proteins like keratin, high hyaluronic acid, and minerals, and that creates a specific kind of water. I call it magic water, structured water, gel water. But all that is to say that water doesn't work by itself. It works in conjunction with proteins, it works in conjunction with minerals, it works in conjunction with electrolytes, and it works in conjunction with polysaccharides like high hyaluronic acid. So it's not just water. Just drinking water, if you're not making connective tissue, high hyaluronic acid and collagen, or connective tissue, or if you don't have enough minerals, is not going to hydrate you effectively. So you got to make sure that you're using water plus water's companions. And then last thing is, the cell is really where the water is that's the home of the. That's one of the most important homes of the water is the inside of the cell, and there are parameters that determine how well the cell will be hydrated, specifically around the membrane of the cell. As we get older and our cell membranes become dysfunctional or become rigid, particularly if you don't have enough fats, water entry can be compromised, and also water excretion can be compromised. Because water has to come out, and when water comes out of the cell, it usually comes out along with waste. So if your cell membranes, which are largely made up of fat and essential fats, are not as functional or as flexible as they should be, you may have hydration issues at the level of the cell and waste removal levels at the level of the cell, even if you're getting enough water.
Okay, that's very informative.
What, too much information?
There's a lot of things you don't think about,
when it comes to water, right?
Yes. We do have one question in the chat.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Barbara DeChant wants to know what causes a person to spin when they lay down and close their eyes. The room doesn't spin, the person does. Or they feel
the room doesn't spin. Inside your head, you spin. Yeah. That's
vertigo, right?
Yeah, that's vertigo, right? That's caused by changes in fluids and solid material in your inner ear. Little stones can form in the inner ear. Little pieces of calcium can come off of various areas in the ear, but it's usually associated with general inflammation. That's kind of how you want to look at this whole thing, this whole health thing. You don't want to focus on specific areas. The mechanism, the immediate mechanism involves the inner ear, but and there are fixes for that. Chiropractors can do specific fixes by holding your neck in certain positions and having you do certain movements. But usually that involves overall general inflammation. It doesn't happen to kids. It doesn't happen to healthy people. It usually happens in a degenerative sense. So you want to look for other things that are going wrong, as that's pretty much par for the course when it comes to health challenges. But the most immediate cause has to do with little pieces of tissue or minerals actually coming off of the inner ear and floating around inside the ear canal, or I don't think it's called the ear canal. I think it might be called the vestibular canal, and it's an area that adjusts our body's positioning based on fluids. It's kind of like, you ever see those levels that they have a little bubble inside of it, and you hold the ruler level based on how the bubble is positioned. That's kind of how it works inside the inner ear. There's fluid inside the inner ear that's supposed to adjust as you turn your head around. But if that fluid becomes contaminated or clogged, that positioning or repositioning mechanism doesn't work as effectively, and the subjective experience is vertigo or dizziness. So you can two fixes for that. One is general inflammatory fixes, but also chiropractors and even osteopaths or sometimes physicians can do. There's these weird tricks that they do. There's one maneuver, I think it's called the Emler maneuver, that they do that can help put that little piece back where it belongs.
Right.
Have you heard of that?
I have. I actually had vertigo really bad several years ago. 2004.
Did they do that maneuver?
Yes, they did.
What, you hold your neck back or something and they turn it around?
And they move you back and forth and up
yeah.
and down.
Yeah. They're trying to get that little stone back in the right place.
Mine was the result of a fall.
Did it work? Did the maneuver work?
No, because I fell at work really hard. I landed on my hands and I jarred my neck and everything really bad. So it was my C3 and C4 kept moving, and I had to work on feeding my body. Cartilage and ligaments and all that stuff started to work because I was on.
But the maneuver, I thought it was called. I think it's called the Emler or the Epler maneuver, something like that.
It does work for several people. I have a few friends that they're like, oh, I'm getting dizzy, and they go and get that moved on, and it helps a lot.
Right, it helps move the calcium crystals, back into the right area, out of the little canal, the semicircular canal. I think it's called the vestibular canal, back into the area where it's supposed to stick. The utricle. It's called the utricle.
Very cool.
All right. What's next?
So we were going to talk about things people could do to help with, it says summer concerns for dehydration and diuretics.
Summer concerns with say that again. Summer concerns for dehydration.
Diuretics and summer concerns. So what can people do?
Well, drink more water. Drink more water. And also stay away from diuretics.
Yes.
If you're on diuretics, that could be a problem. And there's not just, there's hydrochlorothiazide, HCTZ is the, that's the most, when you have high blood pressure, there are stages of pharmacological interventions that they do, starting with the most benign pharmacological intervention. And the most benign pharmacological intervention for high blood pressure is a diuretic. They figure if you lose water in your blood, the pressure will drop. Not a very smart strategy, but it does work. You'll also lose minerals, unfortunately, when you use these diuretics, particularly potassium. The most common diuretic that's used and the most benign is called HCTZ, hydrochlorothiazide. Obviously, that could be a problem. Or if you're on Lasix or furosemide or a stronger one. There are other blood pressure medications that can increase dehydration risk. And interestingly, sometimes people on GLP-1s will experience dehydration, either from not drinking enough water or also through nausea. And then laxatives, people are on laxatives, that can cause dehydration. But there's not, there's some everyday things that we do that can cause dehydration, including drinking coffee, caffeine, I should say, alcohol, energy drinks. Interestingly, can lead to dehydration because they're caffeinated. And then, of course, if you're sweating a lot, if you're doing an energy drink and you're sweating a lot, dehydration can accelerate pretty quickly. And heat changes everything, because with heat, obviously, you're going to be losing water, you're going to be sweating, so you're going to be losing sodium and potassium and magnesium, chloride, your major electrolytes. And sweat is not just water, it's a mineral-rich water. There's a whole... The relationship between sodium and water is or sodium and blood and sodium and water is kind of interesting. You know how doctors will say low sodium if you're on if you have high blood pressure. The thinking is that sodium attracts water. That's why we put salt on ice. Salt will pull water out of the ice. That kind of melts the ice. So the thinking is that by going low sodium, you can reduce the water content of the blood, thereby drop the pressure. Older people are especially going to be susceptible to dehydration with the heat. When we're older, we don't have the same kind of thirst sensation. Total body, our total body water tends to decline, particularly because, especially if we have collagen deficiencies or we're losing our collagen, because collagen traps water. Without collagen, connective tissue, and electrolytes and minerals, we don't trap water. It's more readily excreted. And then, of course, older folks are usually on, not usually, but a lot of older folks are on medication. Sometimes when we're dehydrated, we experience it as fatigue or confusion. Falls can be associated with dehydration. Low blood pressure can be associated with dehydration. And then heart issues. The heart depends on water for its electrical energy. Water plus minerals play a very important role in electricity in the body, bioelectricity. So heart palpitations and arrhythmias can be signs that we're dehydrated. And then one of the classic signs is muscle fatigue or muscle weakness or muscle cramping.
Okay, very good. And we have AJ has his hand up, but I don't see him. So
AJ,
he has a question, and there's a couple more questions. So I'm going to bring AJ on to ask the question.
Pharmacist Ben, how are you today?
I'm good. Good to see you, AJ.
Good to see you as well. As far as dehydration goes,
yes.
Do we require, you mentioned structured water a bit. Do we require minerals like what you'd find in Tangerine or Rebound?
Absolutely. Those are electrolytes. There's minerals and there's electrolytes. Do you know the difference between minerals and electrolytes? Yes, you do. You know the difference. I'm sure you do.
Well, why don't you fill us in?
Okay. Electrolytes are minerals. First of all, there's no minerals. I hate that word minerals. They're elements. But in the vernacular, we call them minerals. Okay. As long as we're clear that they're not really minerals. Minerals are your teeth and your bones. What we're talking about are elements. But given that we use the term minerals, we'll call them minerals. So the minerals are all the things on the periodic table. Some of those react with, i.e. dissolve in, water. When an element which has an inherent electrical charge interacts with water, it turns into what's called an electrolyte, because the electrical charge is conducted through the liquid. So an electrolyte is a element that interacts with, i.e. dissolves in water. And there's not a lot of them. There's a handful of them: potassium, magnesium, chloride, calcium, phosphate. And there's probably about 8 or so of them. And they interact with water. 8 major ones, I should say. There's other minor ones, trace ones. But the major electrolytes are sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, chloride, phosphate, and bicarbonate. But there are a lot of other electrolytes. Trace electrolytes will dissolve in water. That's the distinction between an electrolyte and a mineral. Minerals don't necessarily dissolve in water. Now, one of Dr. Wallach's brilliant ideas, among many brilliant ideas, is that plants have an ability to turn ordinary minerals into water dissolving or water suspending elements or minerals, to use the term minerals. So, for example, if you take a rock, that's made up of minerals. Your average rock is going to be made up of silica, aluminum, magnesium, maybe sulfur, a few other, not a lot, but a handful of different elements going to making rocks. But a rock's not going to dissolve in water. Take a rock from your garden and put it in water, it's not going to dissolve. However, that same rock, when it interacts with a plant, can become converted into something that will either dissolve in water or suspend in water. And this creates an entirely different type of element. It goes from being non-water soluble to water soluble or water suspending. Water is the great activator. That's why you can dehydrate food and it'll last forever, but you add some water to it and all of a sudden it becomes perishable, right? Water activates things. It's an activator. Taking water out of things deactivates them. So a rock is not going to be very active because it's not going to go into water, but once a plant manipulates that substance and it becomes water soluble or water suspendable, it becomes an entirely different substance, a substance that has now been essentially activated. And activation of these substances is very important for health and nutrition. What is that?
Sorry.
No worries. No worries. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the interaction with water is what it's all about, and plants give us that great gift. Plants and also bacteria give us that great gift of turning non-active, insoluble rock into active, soluble, or suspendable elements, going from inactive to active, taking them from inactive to active.
Okay, fantastic. But the difference between consuming an over-the-counter electrolyte drink
and Beyond Tangy Tangerine,
or even Rebound, to give your body true hydration.
Yeah, well, Beyond Tangy Tangerine is much more than just electrolytes. You know, an energy drink is going to have typically a few electrolytes, probably, or even a spectrum of electrolytes and a lot of sugar. And then you're not going to get the cofactors. You're not going to get all the other nutrients. You're not going to get the vitamin C and the vitamin A and the glucosamine. Just look at all the plant-derived elements. Just look at the side of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine bottle. I mean, you're never going to find an electrolyte drink like this. Just look at the side of it, you know. And I know Rebound works too, but I like this better personally. But Rebound works too. Rebound is pretty darn effective. And Rebound was so effective that ZRadical actually put his name on it.
So before I go, I was actually going to a couple years back now. I was going to my cousin's coach's summer basketball at the Rucker Park. And I was on my way to one of his games, and I had one Rebound stick pack. And I said, well, let me bring it, because it was 100 and something degrees that day, and the kids were playing outside. I said, let me bring this in case, somebody needs it. And I'm on the subway, and there's a guy laid out on 145th Street platform. He's clearly not from 145th Street. He's like, him and his
wife. Laid out, like passed out?
Passed out, almost passed out.
Wow.
Very couldn't move. And his wife is sitting there. She's in the middle of Harlem. She's like, what? Dude? Like, and people kept trying to give him water. He's sipping water and he's just still out of it. I told the woman, I said, Miss, take this, put it in your water and give it to him. And she's like, whatever, didn't know. I said it to her like 2 or 3 times. And she finally put it in the water. She gave her husband. Her husband took 3 sips, popped up, jumped on the next train, and to leave, and said, didn't say thank you or anything like that, but turned to her so I could hear loud enough. He said, "That stuff works."
That's great. That's a great story. The Rebound FX has molecules in there, or nutrients in there, called osmolytes. An osmolyte is a molecule that pulls water, has a pulling effect on water. And one of the most important is a molecule called taurine, which you'll see in Red Bull. Taurine is one of the most underappreciated and multifunctional of all the amino acids. It has a very rare property. It doesn't form proteins. Most amino acids will form proteins. Taurine is kind of independent. It exists on its own, and taurine pulls water into things. Pulls water into cells. It pulls water into tissues. That's what an osmolyte does. The Rebound FX also has amino acids. It has a whole amino acid complex, and amino acids are also hygroscopic. HYGRO. Hygroscopic means pulling water. Has a water pulling effect. So the Rebound FX is specifically designed for hydration and electrolyte activity. To answer your question about Rebound versus Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Beyond Tangy Tangerine will also give you some hygroscopicity, some hygroscopic nutrients, but it's much more of a well-rounded nutritional supplement. The Rebound FX is specifically designed as an energy drink to give you a crash-free energy, and then replacing some of the nutrients. You're going to get your B vitamins, and you're going to get vitamin C and vitamin D, and you also get some of the more oddball nutrients like inositol and choline. It's a nice product for sure, but nothing beats my BTT.
Yeah, I bet not. I was thinking that the guy was having some sort of heart episode, but whatever it was, water didn't cure it, and the Rebound seemed to help him more.
In fact, water will make it worse. Why do you suppose water would make things worse?
Because you're diluting the minerals in your bloodstream.
That's why I love AJ. That's why I love AJ. Exactly, AJ. That's exactly right. It'll dilute your electrolytes.
Yes, it will. So we have a couple questions regarding that. So Divine Healing has a question, and it says, do plant minerals contain electrolytes? And I think you just covered most of this.
Yes.
Plant
minerals. No, hold on though, before you continue. Do you mean these plant minerals or plant minerals in general?
It says plant minerals. Do plant-derived minerals contain electrolytes?
Yes.
And are recommended to add to regular water?
100%. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
And we've got cherry mints and strawberry kiwi mints.
They're already liquefied for you.
Yeah, and they taste great. And then
Please, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Those two products are so underappreciated.
They are. That's why I would like you to talk about them all.
Yes, because they're just mineral. I always talk about BTT because it's got everything in it, but cherry mints are just the minerals, and those are so valuable on their own. And aside from being incredibly valuable on their own, they're also like really inexpensive. So for people who just want to start off a program and just experience what the power of plant-derived minerals and plant-derived nutrition and just nutritional supplementation in general can do, for $39, you're going to notice it, particularly if you've never supplemented before.
Yes, you definitely will. I know it makes a huge difference for me. And Verna says her question was, is that good? So you answered her question, and that's what she does. And that's what AJ does. And all of us put the plant-derived minerals in. I mean, I even mix plain plant-derived minerals in my protein shakes and in my Rise and Restore. I add extra minerals even with my Tangy Tangerine and, whatever supplement drink I'm taking. And we have a lot of really good supplementation drinks that are good for hydration, right?
Well, heck yeah. I like the cherry mints and the what's the other one? The mineral top. What did you say?
Strawberry
Yeah,
kiwi.
that's a new one. I don't know much about this. I mean, it's the same thing. I think it's just the flavor, but the cherry mints has been around for a while, and it's really for distributors or people who are selling the longevity. It's a great way to introduce people to the line for just a real inexpensive cost. It's less than 30. I mean, it's like $30 or something.
It's $26.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, for $26, it could be life changing. It could be the best $26 you've ever spent in your life, especially if you never supplement.
That's true. And I always recommend that because sometimes you have a customer call or a potential customer call and talk to us, and they are on a very limited budget. And if the only thing you can do is that.
Exactly.
And, buy enough to be able to, use it several times throughout the day, then do that. And if it's one bottle a month, it's the best bottle a month you could ever do.
For $26, for the price of like a dinner or something, you get a month's supply of essential electrolytes. And aside from just the way you feel, you're going to be replacing your electrolytes, and you're going to be mitigating or reducing the risk of long-term health problems, especially for people who don't supplement, which is most people, unfortunately.
Yes. Okay. So if anybody has questions, please raise your hand. It's easier to do if you do that than to try and find it in the chat. So what other? Oh, AJ's got his hand up again. I'm gonna bring him on.
Hello.
I only have my hand up because Phyllis and Mary didn't pick up on one of the questions that came in from our friend Wyoming Annie.
Hi, Wyoming Annie.
Although this is not really on our topic today, but it says, any hope for advanced spinal stenosis where gait problems are seriously affected?
Yeah. Spinal stenosis doesn't happen to babies or teenagers. It's a major degenerative condition. So the spine is the tube. Stenosis is a narrowing of the tube, and it can happen in any tubes. It can happen in blood vessels. It can happen in the spinal cord. It can happen anywhere where there's a tube, and it basically means the tube narrows. The spinal cord is made up of minerals, calcium specifically, but other minerals too. And spinal stenosis is the deposition of calcium in the spinal cord or in the spinal tube. That is a long-term play. If you're experiencing that, and if it's severe enough that it's affecting your gait, that means it's been going on for a while. You are seriously acidic. Calcium deposition occurs when the fluid portion of the body is acidic due to long-term waste, long-term toxicity. Ordinarily speaking, acids are supposed to stimulate growth, but over the course of time, if we don't have we don't have the raw material to grow with, our liquid portion, the blood, pretty much the blood, stays acidic. Calcium is then leached out, and then the calcium comes back in, and it forms these clogs inside the tubes. So that's a long-term issue. There's a couple nutrients that you could do that have like a calcium pulling effect, magnesium and vitamin K specifically. Vitamin D may also help, and vitamin D and vitamin K work together. But what you really want to do is look at the long-term toxicity. And I know we talk about this all the time, but the body is a system. For for hundreds of years, centuries, we have looked at the body as being made up of a bunch of individual components: the spine, the heart, the intestine, the skin, the heart, the immune system, the digestive system, etc. We look at it as being, if you have a digestive problem, you go to a GI guy; a skin problem, dermatologist; a heart problem, you go to a cardiologist. That's not how the body works. And that, in a nutshell, is probably why, there are probably other reasons, but that's one of the main reasons why the medical model has failed us when it comes to long-term degenerative issues. It's focusing on individual components. And it's going to be very difficult to change that mindset, because if we change that mindset, there's going to be a lot of unemployed cardiologists. There's going to be a lot of unemployed dermatologists. There's going to be a lot of unemployed OBGYNs, because they're all specialized. They're all focusing on special parts. But we have to look at the body as a system. And one of the features of systems, by the way, a system is a bunch of things working together for a goal. It's basically what a system is. And one of the features of systems is there are control points. All systems have leverage points, control points. So if you want to work on a part of a system, you got to work on, effectively, you got to work on the control points. You can't work on just the individual component. You cannot treat the heart by itself unless you go in there surgically and put staples in it, which they do, or repair it with stitches or with some kind of mechanical jury rigging, like you put pulling wire in your bumper to hold it up. And that's basically what medicine has been reduced to, because it can't treat individual organs because they're all networked, they're all connected to each other, but we can do it ourselves. And that's why we focus on the two main control points in the body system, which are A, food or the digestive system, and B, the metabolic system. Those are the two, I call it the triangle of disease, if you want to include the adrenal thyroid complex, but really it's control points. So for spinal stenosis, I mean, the thinking is, if you really want to fall into the medical model, well, I'll just take a spinal stenosis pill, or I'll just have a spinal stenosis procedure done, or I'll just have a spinal stenosis supplement. If you're thinking supplements, that's not how it works. You got to focus on the entire system. There's no way to target spinal stenosis, although you can work with some as I said, some calcium magnet nutrients like vitamin D and vitamin K, and perhaps magnesium. But if you really want to do it right, you got to focus on the entire body system. And you say, oh my God, that sounds really confusing. That's hard to do. No, it's not, because there's two major control points: food and sugar. That's what, when we say the metabolic system, we're talking about sugar, basically.
Right. Yeah, and we have several longevity products that would be good for her.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's not going to be like you take you should be on the healthy blood sugar pack, for example, and probably the healthy digestion pack, or not healthy digestion. Do we have it's not a pack, but all the supplements for the digestive system. But it's not going to be like you take your healthy blood sugar pack and all of a sudden your spinal stenosis disappears.
No.
And the reason I say that, but that's important to say, because that's the metric that the medical model's using. Oh, I took that healthy start pack and I still have my spinal stenosis. So you want to really emphasize that you're taking care of the body's in the entire system. If you say, how do I fix my spinal stenosis? You're talking doctor talk. And that doesn't help anybody's health. Doctor talk doesn't, that's not a knock on doctors, by the way. They're good people. But doctor talk doesn't help anybody's health. If you say, how do I fix my spinal stenosis? That's the way the medical model speaks, and that doesn't work. You have to work on the entire system. And that's why the Mighty 90 essential nutrients are not optional. Right. Because they correct imbalances in the entire system. And while they're not going to help directly spinal stenosis, they'll help the body correct the spinal stenosis.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. AJ.
Okay, Ben. However, you gave her the baseline that every human being should have, the Mighty 90. But she also needs to add on top, particularly Wyoming Annie, who's someone who understands the need for the 90. What are some other things?
Osteomag.
Okay, Osteomag.
Any of the products of anything with vitamin K and vitamin D.
And the pig pack.
The pig pack wouldn't hurt. It's not going to directly affect. It's not going to directly improve spinal stenosis, but it wouldn't hurt. The pig pack is the ultimate anti-aging nutritional supplement package. Why? Why is that? Well, what is the pig pack? Which is the coolest name, right? The pig pack. I love the way that sounds. What is the pig pack? Why do they call it the pig pack? What does that mean, pig pack?
Well, I know that answer. Okay, especially Pig Pack Plus called it the pig arthritis formula, because it has extra Osteo-fx in it, and they couldn't call it the arthritis pack for humans, and so they created the bone and joint pack, and then they discontinued the pig pack for a while, and then people kept asking for the pig pack. So they started calling it the pig pack.
Why do they call it the pig pack? Why don't they call it the raccoon pack? Or why don't they call it the Ruth Ellen pack? Why do they call it the pig pack?
That I don't know exactly the answer
Yeah,
to.
well, it's really cool. It's really cool.
Because it
Yeah,
draws people's attention.
Well, yeah, it does that. It's a cool name for sure. Doc he was pretty clever with the names for sure. You know, when Doc's the mineral doctor, of course, but before he was the mineral doctor, he was the
veterinary doctor.
The connective tissue. The connective tissue. Connective tissue. And pigs are a major source of orally available connective tissue. The connective tissue in animals is stuff that we don't usually eat. We usually eat the muscle tissue of animals. The muscle tissue of animals is the steak. And we actually don't even like the connective tissue. We throw it out. That's the gristle. But it turns out that the connective tissue in animals, when ingested, can turn on your connective tissue building, can activate your connective tissue. So eating connective tissue from animals is a very effective, tried and true, long-standing strategy for building connective tissue. Snouts and hooves and tails. These are all parts of the animal that people don't eat, but pigs are a rich source of them. Pig snouts and pig's feet, for example. You know, that's traditionally been reserved for poor people, pig's feet. But it turns out that pig's feet are really healthy. And that's why I've always talked about bone broth. And that's essentially what the benefits of bone broth are. You could, if you don't want to do bone broth, you can do pig's feet broth. And Doc called it the pig pack because he was initially the supplements, the connective tissue building supplements came from pigs. Porcine, as they say, nutrients, connective tissue building nutrients. But the major point is eat your connective tissue. Don't throw out the connective tissue. Eat the connective tissue. And it's the least expensive part of the animal too. You'll save money. If you don't want to eat the connective tissue directly, collagen peptides and hydrolyzed collagen. You know, those are two ways that you could do it.
Perfect. Thank you. We do have some hands up, and it looks like we have a lot of questions coming. And Verna had her hand up, but she put it down. So if you still have your question, Verna, please raise your hand and we'll get to you in a moment. All right. That's Mary.
Yes. Hello.
Yes. Hello.
I'm going to bring in a question from YouTube, and it's from Repulsify. How can someone heal the adrenal glands if they have been chronically stressed for years?
Absolutely. There's lots of ways. First of all, you relax, you take the burden off the adrenal glands. That's the most important strategy, first of all, is lighten up, relax. The adrenal glands are your stress glands, and the more stress you're under, the more work your adrenal glands are going to be doing. So reduce stress, and by stress, I'm talking about not just psychological stress, but physiologic stress too, inflammation. And that's back to your first 2 points on the triangle of disease. Hyper and hypo, both too much and too little glycemia, too much and too little sugar are both major stressors on the adrenal glands. So keeping your blood sugar stable is a very, very important strategy for the adrenal glands. Also, if you have any digestive toxicity, that's going to cause adrenal problems. So working on the digestive system, again, those are the first 2 points on the triangle of disease. Working directly with the adrenal glands, there's lots of things you could do. One of the most important things you could do to work directly on the adrenal glands is use adrenal nutrition, the B vitamins, for example. Zinc, vitamin C is really important for the adrenal glands. And if you don't want to do all these individual nutrients, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine has all of them. If you're menopausal, you're going to be especially susceptible to adrenal problems because under conditions of menopause, the adrenal glands are making your female hormones. And menopause, your female glands, your ovaries, stop making female hormones. And those female hormones are now being made by your adrenal glands. So it's extra work for your adrenals. So if you're stressing out your adrenal gland and you're menopausal or perimenopausal, you're running much higher risks for adrenal issues. So then for menopausal women or perimenopausal women, or postmenopausal women for that matter, it becomes really important to reduce stressors on the adrenals. Caffeine is one of the most important stressors on the adrenal glands. If you notice that you feel, we talked about vertigo earlier, that's kind of with your head, but if you notice that when you stand up out of a seated position, you get dizzy, or you bend down and touch your toes and you get dizzy, that could be signs of adrenal duress as well. In fact, sometimes that will happen to people. And by the way, the adrenal glands regulate blood pressure. The adrenals and the renals, the adrenals sit on top of the renals, and the renals are the kidneys. That's a synonym for the kidneys. And the adrenals and the renals are your major blood pressure regulating systems. So if you have high blood pressure, or if you have, I should say, if you have adrenal issues, your blood pressure can change when you move your body around, and that's what causes that whole vertigo sensation or that dizzy sensation. In fact, sometimes that will happen, and your blood pressure will actually drop so significantly that your heart will have to make up for that drop in pressure by beating really fast. That's called POTS. And I don't know if you ever heard that, Ruth Ellen or AJ or anybody that have you heard of POTS? POTS?
Yes.
Yes.
So POTS stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, right? Postural means you change your posture. Orthostatic means you're moving your body. Tachycardia means your heart races, and it's a syndrome. It affects a whole bunch of parts of the body. So that's all the end result of adrenal stress. And again, laying off of caffeine, keeping your blood sugar stable, correcting digestive health problems, and using nutrients that are specific for the adrenal glands can be helpful. I'm always a little bit skeptical of using the nutrients just for the adrenal glands, but the adrenal glands are burning through vitamin C. You know, animals, we've said this before, animals make their own vitamin C. And it turns out that when an animal is under stress, it can make 5 to 10 times as much vitamin C. In other words, vitamin C, by virtue of its residency in the adrenal glands, and by virtue of the fact that animals make more vitamin C when they're under stress, can be thought of as the quintessential anti-stress vitamin, even though it doesn't have that reputation. So high doses of vitamin C, zinc is very important for the adrenal glands, as I said. There's more zinc in the adrenal glands, I think, than in any other part of the body, as I'm thinking here. There may be maybe some other part, but there's a lot of zinc in the adrenal glands. And then there's also the B vitamins, especially vitamin B12 and vitamin B5, which is one of those mysterious B vitamins that we don't talk a lot about. Pantothenic acid is also very important for the adrenal glands. And you'll get those, interestingly, in the de-stress. The de-stress is made with vitamin B5 and zinc. And I think there might even be vitamin C in there as well. It doesn't have a whole bunch of the nutrients. That's why I like the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. But if you want to throw in another nutrient for your adrenal glands, it would be the de-stress.
Perfect. Thank you. Well,
Okay.
while we have time, I will transfer it over to Phyllis.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, Phyllis.
All right, I'm going to bring her on. And de-stress has a lot of B vitamins in it, and it does have a very good amount of vitamin C. So,
and does it have zinc too?
I'll look while Phyllis is asking her question. I believe so. Go for it, Phyllis.
Okay. Hello, Pharmacist Ben.
Hello.
Got a couple of questions off of YouTube.
We have
a couple of questions off of YouTube.
Okay.
And Ms. Lillian.
Hi, Ms. Lillian.
She has hypothyroid.
Okay.
Pre-diabetes and elevated liver enzymes.
Is Ms. Lillian a new person? Is she joining us new?
I think I've seen her on YouTube before.
Okay. So AJ can answer that. That's the triangle, right, AJ? You're looking at a classic triangle issue. You said hypothyroid, blood sugar issues, and what was the last thing you said?
Elevated liver enzymes.
You couldn't be more exact with the triangle than anything else. So, but let's explain the whole thing. Yeah, the whole triangle. So here's the deal. Hypothyroidism is impossible with a capital I to treat by itself. You can give the body some thyroid hormone so you get some energy, but you're not going to affect the gland. And this is the only strategy they have. And thyroid medicine is notoriously ineffective. And interestingly, every year in the top 5 best-selling drugs, you have thyroid medication, meaning there's lots of hypothyroid people. But you cannot work on the thyroid directly. Like I was saying earlier, it's part of the entire system. The thyroid controls the whole body. And when I say controls the whole body, I mean cells, which is the working part of the body, or the cells, are all doing what they do based on thyroid hormone. So skin cells, skin, muscle cells, muscle, heart cells, heart, intestinal cells, intestine, lung cells, lung, brain cells, brain, eye cells, eye, et cetera, et cetera. Cells do what they do under the control of the thyroid or thyroid hormone. In the body, hormones are supposed to go up and down. They're not supposed to stay the same. They're supposed to fluctuate based on needs. You need more energy, there's more thyroid hormone. You need more heart energy, you need more intestinal energy, lung energy, you get more thyroid hormone, you need less, you get less. There's a responsiveness. That's what hormones do. They help us deal with the environment. So this idea of taking a hormone, as in hormone replacement therapy, which is what thyroid medication is, it's not what the body likes to do. The body doesn't want to have a steady state amount of hormones. It wants to have them going up and down. But it's the best they can do because you can't work on the thyroid directly. So what do? You work backwards on the thyroid. The major control point of the thyroid is the adrenal glands. The major control point for the adrenal glands is the metabolic system, and the major control point for the metabolic system is the digestive system. Fatty liver, you said fatty liver, right?
Elevated liver enzymes.
Elevated liver enzymes. Okay, I'm sorry. So elevated liver enzymes are when liver cells die, they release their enzymes. Cells all have enzymes inside of them. And when a liver cell dies, or when any cell dies, really, it releases its enzymes. And one of the ways they tell if you have liver problems, that is, parts of your liver cells are dying, is by the presence of liver enzymes. Does that make sense? You see liver enzymes around, that means liver cells have exploded and they've released their enzymes. So this woman has a problem with her liver. Luckily, the liver is very forgiving and very resilient. Nonetheless, the liver is also very important, and you don't want your liver cells dying. Now, she didn't mention anything about fatty liver, but that's usually one of the reasons why people have elevated liver enzymes. So it's extremely important that you correct that, and it's extremely important that you correct the hypothyroidism and the blood sugar issues, metabolic issues. They're all connected. So what do? First things first, work on digestive health. That means food diary, which you can get at Critical Health News or wherever at the age. I don't know. Do we have a food diary up at anywhere? I think we should have a food diary up. Get a food diary, track your foods. Get a food diary, track your foods, and then start to eliminate foods. Get on the healthy blood sugar pack. By the way, the healthy blood sugar pack will also help you with your liver, because part of the reason why the liver becomes messed up is because of glucose. And, I wanted to mention this earlier, by the way. Glucose actually can help you with hydration. Did you know that? Glucose actually is hygroscopic and it will pull water. I meant to say that when we were talking about hygroscopic ingredients. That's one of the reasons why there's always glucose in these kinds of energy drinks, aside from the fact that it improves the taste. Too much glucose is not a good thing. Too much glucose can actually be dehydrating. With just the right amount of glucose can be hydrating. Nonetheless, back to what we were talking about, excess glucose puts a major stress on the liver because the liver is storing glucose, and also fructose puts a major stress on the liver. In fact, fructose is more damaging to the liver than glucose. Fructose being fruit sugar, and that's very important because a lot of us are laboring under the illusion that fruits are no problem. You can eat as much fruit as you want, or honey as you want, or fruit juice as you want. Fructose is a big problem, not just natural fructose, but also what they call high fructose corn syrup. A lot of sugar is cheap, but it's not as cheap as high fructose corn syrup. And a lot of soda pop manufacturers and sweet manufacturers and pastry companies, et cetera, have switched from sugar to high fructose corn syrup, which just puts an added fructose burden on the body. So working to control your sugar, working to control fructose ingestion, getting on the healthy blood sugar pack, getting on the doing a food diary, eliminating problem foods, all of those are strategies that will ultimately help your thyroid. But you cannot work on the thyroid by itself. And if you're hypothyroid, you're not alone. Dr. Broda Barnes wrote a book in the early 1980s called Hypothyroidism, the Unsuspected Illness. And in the book, he makes a very compelling case for the fact that heart disease is really hypothyroidism. And respiratory disease is really hypothyroidism. And neurological disease is really hypothyroidism. And he goes through a whole list of things that we blame the organ for when they're really the end result of being hypothyroid. He calls it the unsuspected illness because we never think about it for thyroid. We're so focused on the heart and the intestine and the liver and all the other parts of the body. So the thyroid controls everything. If you're hypothyroid, nothing is going to work as well as it should, but you can't work on the thyroid directly, but you can work on the adrenals by working on your blood sugar, and you can work on the metabolic system with your healthy blood sugar pack and reducing your sugar intake. And of course, the first point on the triangle of the disease, the digestive system.
It's like you say, where the problem is not where you look.
That's exactly right. Where the problem is not where the problem begins. That is a hallmark pillar of systems theory biology.
Well, I think we have one more question, and we're getting close to the top of the hour. Do you have time?
Okay. Yeah. Let's get another question.
Phyllis, you had a question still?
Yes. Let me bring myself back here.
And then AJ has a hand up.
This is pretty interesting. Dilong on
YouTube. Okay.
Is it true too many antioxidants, especially vitamin C and vitamin E, are bad for us and have a pro-oxidant, I would imagine, oxidizing effect?
Not quite. I see where he's going with it. So it's not quite like that, but he's on the right track. Antioxidants are also pro-oxidants. So do you want, I'll just go over this real quickly because it is there's a lot of stuff here and we don't have a lot of time, but just remember Mickey Mouse ears?
Yeah.
Remember our Mickey Mouse ears?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me see here. Where's Marty the molecule? If I could find Marty. I don't have Marty. I don't know where I put Marty. I lost Marty. Okay. So we have Mickey Mouse ears. I'm going to try and do Mickey Mouse ears like this. Okay. Got two Mickey Mouse ears. This is an atom. This is Mickey Mouse ears. All atoms, and this is very simplistic because it's a little more complicated than this, but all atoms have two Mickey Mouse ears. They like to have two Mickey Mouse ears. You can think of them as complete. They're married. They're together. If something comes along and knocks off a Mickey Mouse ear, now you only have one Mickey Mouse ear. You have a very unhappy atom. Atoms don't like to have one ear. They want two ears. They don't have one ear. They become very unhappy and they look around for another ear that they can steal. They steal ears. The main sources of ears in the body, or two of the main sources of ears in the body, are your cell membranes, which have lots of ears, and your genetics. So ultimately what's going to happen if you have an atom with only one Mickey Mouse ears, or a lot of atoms with only one Mickey Mouse ear, your cell membranes are going to get distorted and disturbed because they're going to get their ears stolen, or ears from the membrane stolen, or your genetics will change. You get into mutations and ultimately cancers and aging. So one Mickey Mouse ear is bad. So nature, first let me tell you what causes a Mickey Mouse ear to get knocked off. The major cause of Mickey Mouse ear assaults, something that steals a Mickey Mouse ear, is oxygen. And in fact, the name for the stealing of a Mickey Mouse ear is oxidation. Oxidation is a Mickey Mouse ear being stolen by oxygen. Oxygen is the main thing that does it, but other things can do it too. Fluoride does it, chlorine does it, and perhaps most dramatically, the sun does it. That's called photooxidation. That's oxidation from light. All of these things steal Mickey Mouse ears. They leave atoms with one Mickey Mouse ear. That one Mickey Mouse ear can disturb cell membranes and genetics by stealing Mickey Mouse ears. So nature has come up with a system for completing single Mickey Mouse ear atoms, for putting another Mickey Mouse ear so that atom doesn't steal. So it's happy, it's satisfied. So there are floating molecules around that have Mickey Mouse ears. They're loose. They're not stuck like to an atom. They're kind of loose. And they can contribute their Mickey Mouse ear to our single Mickey Mouse ear atom. And now that Mickey Mouse ear is happy. And it goes on its merry way. It doesn't have to steal it from a membrane or DNA. But we got a problem now. What's that problem?
Not enough floating around.
No, that thing that's floating around, now it becomes a single Mickey Mouse ear because it's contributed or donated its Mickey Mouse ear. These molecules that donate Mickey Mouse ears because they're kind of loose are called antioxidants because they're contributing Mickey Mouse ears. So you got atom, 2 Mickey Mouse ears, one gets knocked off by oxygen. Now it's just this rogue atom. By the way, this is called a free radical. It's kind of a bad guy, and it's going to steal unless a molecule with a loose Mickey Mouse ear, i.e. an antioxidant, contributes as a Mickey Mouse ear. But now our antioxidant only has 1 Mickey Mouse ear. So what does it do? It goes and steals. And this is what this gentleman's talking about. Antioxidants become pro-oxidants because they contribute their Mickey Mouse ear. Now they're rogue, and they're going to go steal. So nature has equipped us with a whole string of antioxidants, and that's why you want to keep them coming, because it's like musical chairs. You don't want to stop where you just have an antioxidant that has only 1 Mickey Mouse ear. So you got to keep them coming. There's got to be a stream of antioxidants that are contributing Mickey Mouse ears to antioxidants and to rogue atoms, and that's why you always want to be ingesting antioxidants throughout the day as much as you can. What he's talking about is indeed true, that antioxidants can become pro-oxidants when they do their work. And that's why you got to keep more antioxidants coming in. Keep them all, just flood your body with all kinds of antioxidants, and there's lots of them. Why do you suppose that the main source of antioxidants is plants?
Because,
That's our main source of antioxidants is plants.
AJ
Yes.
knows. AJ knows.
AJ, that's why I love AJ. Go tell why, AJ.
Well, because from the ground and from the sun, they're getting.
Plants are subject to forces from the sun. Plants are in the sun all day. They don't get skin cancer. They don't get wrinkles. They thrive in the sun. Why? Because they're loaded with antioxidants. And we can get those antioxidants by eating plants. And that's one of the reasons why ingesting plants is so beneficial, because they're loaded with antioxidants. Yes? AJ?
Okay, but what about walking barefoot in the grass?
That's another type of antioxidant. Those are electrons. Those are the fundamental antioxidants. Remember the Mickey Mouse ears that I'm talking about? I call them Mickey Mouse ears, but they're technically not Mickey Mouse ears. They're electrons. So carriers of electrons will deliver electrons, but you can get electrons, straight from the earth. You don't need a plant. When you walk barefoot on the dirt, you're getting the antioxidants directly from the source without an intermediary.
Can I hug a tree?
Absolutely. That's why negative ions are antioxidants. They're the fundamental antioxidants. When they're riding on a molecule, we call the whole molecule antioxidant, but the functional part of that molecule is the negative ion. The negative ion is the electron. That's what's doing the work, is the electron. That's why electrons are key to everything. Everything we do is for electrons. Right. Electrons are energy, pure energy. We eat to get the electrons, but you can get them directly, like you just said, by walking on the earth.
Very good. I love that. We should connect to the earth way more than we do.
Absolutely.
All right. So Ben, we have more questions. I don't know.
More questions.
It's
I do. It's already late, but we have another call. AJ, are we doing a call tomorrow? Did we decide?
Yes, we are.
You want to talk about it, or do you want to just? What do you want to do? You want to mention it, AJ?
You can mention it.
I don't know enough about it. You have to mention it.
Okay. Can we do the question first, or? All right, AJ, go ahead. Come on down. Come join me. Talk about it. Go for it, dude.
Tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern, we're going to be doing a presentation. If folks want to join, it will only be on the Critical Health News YouTube channel. So if you want information, email us at questions@dailywithdoc.com, and we will get you there. But I think Mary had a question.
She does have a question.
Let's answer Mary real quick.
All right, thank you, AJ. And Mary, I'm sorry, you moved. I went to spotlight you. You moved. There you go.
Okay. I'll ask this in a way that does not get us in trouble.
Please do. Be very careful with it.
Please don't.
We don't want to get dinged.
Look at my hands. Okay. So from April on Facebook, she says, so you have to kind of listen to the whole thing and also look at me afterwards. My 74-year-old brother has been having shortness of breath and dizziness when walking. He takes long walks every morning. His doc told him to go to the ER yesterday and is in the hospital now for tests. She says he's in good health. What can be going on? And also, lastly but not least, he's also done some things like this. All of them.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Well, this affects what part of the body is the most dramatically impacted by this?
The blood.
The blood. He's having a blood problem. His blood is not getting to his brain, and it's not getting oxygenated effectively. It's not moving. That is a classic symptom of this. That's why you don't do this. And I said that from day one. And anybody who understands anything about biochemistry would say the same thing. You don't do this because this clots the blood. It thickens the blood. Remember, the blood is not just some red liquid. It's a very, very complicated organ. It's a liquid organ. It's very, very, very complex. And you do not want to introduce things into the blood. And any medical professional who tells you to introduce things into the blood, especially if they're experimental, should be ashamed of themselves, or you should be running away from them, not listening to them. You do not disturb the blood unless you have no other options, ever. So this guy did, he disturbed his blood. His blood is thickening, it's clotting. That's a response to stuff that gets in the blood. It's no accident that people who do this suffer from pericarditis and blood clots and heart attacks, and because you're mucking around with the blood. You can't just put stuff in the blood. The blood is sacred. The life of the flesh is in the blood. You can't just stick stuff in the blood. And I want to get some physician on here who thinks it's okay to do that, so I don't have to talk behind their back. Because it's crazy, utter craziness to think that that's a good thing to do. So now he's paying the price for that. So there's a few things he's going to want to do. Number one, he's going to want to improve circulation. Water will improve, which we talked about earlier, that will help. Also, there are certain nutrients that can improve, as we've talked about, that can improve circulation. The glucogel caps, for example. Anything with high hyaluronic acid, ultimate EFAs, vitamin E, garlic. These are all substances that can help improve the fluidity of the blood. And again, if you want to do one thing, all disease is cell disease, but all cell disease is preceded by dirty blood. If you want to do one thing to improve your health, it's improve fluidity. Oxygen will improve fluidity. So making sure you're breathing correctly and moving your body. And perhaps the most underappreciated fluidizing substances for the blood are the plant-derived minerals. Plant-derived minerals fluidize the blood. So there's lots of ways to do it, but that's what you want to focus on, is fluidizing the blood, improving the movement of blood. Number one, through improving fluidity, but also through movement, moving his body. Now, he's taking walks, that's great, but he may want to do something like on an exercise bike where he's not moving around, where he's not actually walking. He's staying stationary while he's improving his circulatory system. But improving circulation is the key to this. What he's experiencing is blood not getting to his brain, dizziness, and blood not getting oxygenated, shortness of breath.
Right. And
okay.
as you said earlier, water with minerals in it.
And then water with minerals, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll turn that back over to Ruth Ellen to close us out.
Okay, Ruth Ellen.
Thank you, Mary. And Ben, what was it that you wanted me to find out about the de-stress?
Zinc.
There is no zinc in it. There's vitamin C, B1, B2, B6, B12, B5, calcium, magnesium, adrenal substance, and valerian root.
Adrenal substance is also good for all glands. Ingesting the gland itself can help you with glandular problems, whether it's ingesting thyroid gland or ingesting adrenal gland, or ingesting pancreatic glands, thymus glands. Ingesting glands from animals can support your glands. And in fact, Armour thyroid is just that for the thyroid. Many people have heard of Armour thyroid. It's ground up thyroid.
Yes.
So they call them glandulars because they're glands. Okay.
All right. So that is the end of the questions that we have. And we've gone over by 11 minutes. And thank you for that.
No worries. I'll see you. Yeah, if we didn't answer anybody's question, or if you just want to join us tomorrow at 10:30 Mountain, 12:30 Eastern. Correct, AJ?
Yes.
All right. All right, you guys.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
everybody. Thank
Thank you.
you. Good night. Goodbye. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye. All right. If my co-host could come and join me on the screen. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And I want to wish everyone a happy 4th of July. Tomorrow is a big one, 250 years of us being the United States and having the Constitution and all the things that are wrapped up in it. So thank you again for everyone who's joined us today. Thank you for your questions. And I'm sorry we didn't get to everyone's comments that were made. Carrie, that will have to be another day because we just didn't have time. And okay, so again, thank you for joining us. And Carrie, when you come on next time, raise your hand. That helps. Thank you for joining us. Today's program was sponsored by dailywithdoc.com. And if somebody referred you to this program, please get back with them. And if your question did not get answered, please email us at questions@dailywithdoc.com, or you can call 855-949-3377 to talk to a certified holistic health coach, and they can help you with your questions. And also, AJ, I believe that the food diary is also available on dailywithdoc.com. Am I correct?
Actually on criticalhealthnews.com.
Okay.
However, if you email questions@dailywithdoc.com, we will make sure you get the updated food diary. And more importantly, we'll connect you with somebody who can help you analyze that food diary. You can take it back to whomever told you about this show, and you'll be armed with all the information you need.
Thank you, AJ, for that. I appreciate, yes. All right, so I cannot do this alone, and none of us can do this alone. It takes a team. So I have Phyllis, who is out there on the different platforms, posting and disclaiming and doing all kinds of things, bringing questions in. She is also responsible for Doc being on the radio, her and her husband. So we're going to say that every time, because you know what? None of us would be here, even you guys out there listening, if Doc never made it on the radio. So thank you, Phyllis. And then we have Marilyn, who is just typing away and in the dictation in the Zoom chat. And that's a good thing when you're in. Oh God, I am so tired. When you join us on Zoom, you get to see her amazing dictation, and you can take screenshots of information that you want to hold on to. And then we have Mary, who's out there on the different platforms and pulled double duty today because she was helping in the waiting room, letting people in, and out there, obviously bringing in questions. So thank you for all that you do, Mary. And then, of course, we have AJ, who is our digital marketing director. And he just does a lot of stuff, gets us out there, and helps us grow. So thank you, AJ. My name is Ruth Ellen Sanchez. I'm the executive production manager of Daily with Doc and Becca, and the part-time host when she is away. And I just want to say we love all of you, and we're grateful for you. And it takes you too. It's not just us. When I say it takes a lot of people, you too also help us. Happy 4th of July. And always remember to be kind and respectful to people. But be kind, especially because you don't know what somebody is going through. And sometimes a smile and a hello, how are you, can actually save a life. So thank you again, and we will see you next week. And some of you we may see on YouTube tomorrow. So have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to continue to share the teachings of a founding father of the science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach, Bachelor of Science in Plant and Soil Sciences, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, 4 postdoctorates in pathology, naturopathic doctor.